Ladies and gentlemen, you've been running for so long, haven't you? Your eyes are always on the prize, always looking forward, always chasing something. You wake up in the morning and it's there in your mind. That thing, that person, that place, it haunts you. It drives you. Every day you think, if I just get there, if I just achieve this one thing, my life will be complete, and you think that, right? You think that's all it takes to make everything fall into place. But let me tell you something. What if I told you that the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop running after what you think you need, is the very moment everything changes? You see, we've been taught from a very young age to chase success, chase money, chase the right relationship, chase approval. We've been taught that we need to hustle, grind, push, and claw our way through life, always trying to reach for something just beyond our grasp. The world tells us that we're not good enough unless we're always moving, always striving, always doing more. But let's think about that for a moment. What does that really mean? What are we sacrificing in the name of this chase? And what happens when we finally stop? I know that you've been told that you need to keep going, keep moving, because if you stop, you'll miss your chance. If you stop, someone else will take your place. They'll take your dream, they'll take your opportunity, and you'll be left behind. That's the narrative that runs in your head, isn't it? It's been drilled into you for years, maybe even your entire life. But let me tell you this, there's power in stopping. There's strength in letting go. When you stop chasing, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You take a step back and breathe. And when you breathe, you finally begin to see things for what they really are, not for the distorted image that you've created in your head. You stop seeing the world through the lens of desperation and start seeing it with eyes of peace. It's in that stillness, in that pause, that you finally realize something you were never meant to chase. You were never meant to keep running. Think about it for a moment. What have you been chasing all this time? What's been keeping you up at night? What's been fueling that fire in your gut? Making you feel like you have to keep going even when you're exhausted, when you're broken, when you're at the end of your rope. For so many of us, it's the pursuit of validation. We chase the approval of others, our parents, our peers, our colleagues, our society. We chase the idea that if we just achieve enough, if we just reach that one milestone, if we just have that one person in our life, we'll finally be enough. But here's the truth: validation can never fill the hole inside of you. The more you chase it, the deeper that hole becomes. And no matter how fast you run, no matter how far you go, it's always just a little bit out of reach. When you stop chasing, you stop trying to prove something. You stop running after something that's not yours to chase. You stop worrying about what people think, what they say, or how they judge you. And in that moment, you start to live for yourself. You begin to define who you are not by the things you achieve, not by the people you impress, but by the person you are when no one's watching. That's when the real magic happens. We've all been there. We've all been stuck in that never-ending cycle of striving, chasing, and achieving, only to find ourselves more lost than ever. We keep thinking, once I get this, then I'll be happy. Once I achieve this success, I'll be complete. But that moment never comes. We reach one goal, and there's always another to chase. The chase is endless. It's a hamster wheel that keeps spinning faster and faster, and we just keep running, thinking that if we can just outrun the pressure, outrun the doubt, outrun the fear, we'll get to the finish line. But what if there is no finish line? What if the only way to find peace is to stop running altogether? Now, I'm not saying you should give up. I'm not saying you should throw in the towel and sit down and wait for life to happen. No, but I am saying that there is wisdom in knowing when to pause, when to let go of what's weighing you down, when to stop chasing something that's not meant for you. When you stop chasing, you stop letting the world dictate your worth. You stop letting external forces control your happiness. You stop giving all your energy to something or someone that doesn't deserve it. And in that space, you begin to find yourself again. One of the most powerful things about stopping the chase is that you learn to be present, taking these moments for granted because you're no longer distracted by the constant need to keep moving forward. When you stop chasing, you begin to understand the value of the present. You begin to realize that the chase was never about the destination. It was always about the journey, the lessons you learn along the way, the people you meet, the moments that shape you. But the problem is you're so busy running after the next big thing that you miss everything in between. You miss the growth, the transformation, the small victories that make you who you are. You miss the chance to truly appreciate where you are right now. This doesn't mean that you stop setting goals or striving for greatness. No, not at all. But it means that you stop tying your worth to those goals. You stop thinking that your happiness is conditional on your achievements. You stop measuring your success based on what other people are doing. When you stop chasing, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop thinking that you need to live up to someone else's standard of success. You realize that your journey is your own, and it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. You are enough as you are, right here, right now. Another powerful thing happens when you stop chasing. You start attracting what's meant for you. You stop forcing things into your life that don't fit. You stop chasing people, relationships, opportunities that aren't aligned with who you truly are. And in that space, the right things begin to come to you effortlessly. People start showing up who see you for who you really are, not for what you can do for them. Opportunities start presenting themselves that align with your values, your passions, and your purpose. When you stop chasing, you stop trying to force things that don't belong in your life. And when you do that, you make space for the things that do. It's incredible what happens when you stop chasing. The things that you thought were so important suddenly don't matter as much anymore. The things that once consumed your thoughts, the things that once filled you with anxiety and stress, lose their grip on you. You realize that you were chasing after something that wasn't even meant for you in the first place. You realize that the real power was never in the chase, it was in the letting go. And let's talk about what happens when you stop chasing people. There's a saying that goes, if you love something, set it free. It's true. When you stop chasing people, you stop putting yourself in a position where you're always trying to prove your worth, always trying to be the person someone else wants you to be. You stop seeking validation from others and start loving yourself for who you are, not for who someone else thinks you should be. You stop worrying about whether they'll stay, and in doing so, you create space for the right people to come into your life, people who love you for exactly who you are, people who appreciate your worth without you having to chase them. And this, my friend, is freedom, true freedom. The kind of freedom that doesn't come from chasing success, money, or approval, but from releasing the need to chase anything at all. You are free to be yourself. You are free to live your life on your own terms. You are free to stop running, to stop looking over your shoulder, to stop worrying about what's next. Because when you stop chasing, you realize that everything you need is already inside of you. When we are constantly chasing after something, whether it be success, validation, or approval, our minds are in a state of perpetual motion. It's like running on a treadmill, never quite reaching the destination. The faster we run, the more exhausted we become, yet we feel no closer to our goals. We begin to lose sight of what really matters. We stop noticing the small joys, the simple pleasures, and the things that make life beautiful. Instead, we become consumed with the pursuit of something external that we believe will give us happiness, fulfillment, or a sense of purpose. The chase can be all-consuming, leaving us anxious, stressed, and constantly feeling like we are not enough. But what if, in the moment we stop running, we could find the clarity and peace of mind that has been eluding us all along? When we stop chasing, we give ourselves the space to breathe. The relentless pressure to constantly move forward, to always be doing, achieving, and striving, no longer defines us. In that space of stillness, we can finally hear ourselves think. It's in this quiet, in this pause, that we gain clarity. The fog of uncertainty and confusion that clouded our minds begins to lift. We can finally see the bigger picture, and we realize that the pursuit of everything external has, in fact, been clouding our ability to understand what truly matters to us. We begin to understand that what we've been chasing was never the answer. It was only a distraction from the deeper truths we've been avoiding. Clarity is a powerful gift that comes with stopping the chase. It allows us to see ourselves and our lives with fresh eyes. The constant noise of the world, the expectations placed upon us by society, by our peers, by our families, begins to fade away. We can now focus on what we really want, what we truly need, and what aligns with our deepest values. No longer are we driven by the need to keep up with others or by the fear of missing out. Instead, we can finally turn inward and listen to the quiet voice inside that has been drowned out by the constant rushing. This newfound clarity allows us to make better decisions. When we're caught in the chase, we often make choices based on fear, desperation, or the need to prove something. We take on too much, say yes when we should say no, and make commitments that drain us. We allow ourselves to be pulled in multiple directions, and as a result, we spread ourselves thin and lose sight of our own needs. But when we stop chasing, we are able to make decisions from a place of peace and alignment. We no longer feel pressured to conform to the expectations of others. Instead, we are guided by a sense of purpose and a clear understanding of what is truly important to us. Stopping the chase also helps us to reconnect with the present moment. When we are constantly running after something, we forget to live in the here and now. We become so focused on the future, on what is coming next, that we overlook the beauty and richness of the present. The truth is that the only moment we have is the one we are living in right now. But when we are always looking ahead, we miss out on the simple pleasures that make life meaningful. Whether it's enjoying a cup of coffee, taking a walk in nature, or spending time with loved ones, we often rush through life without fully appreciating the moments that make it worthwhile. When we stop chasing, we can slow down and begin to savor life. We begin to notice the small things, the sound of birds chirping, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the joy of a good conversation. These are the moments that bring us true peace, not the distant future or the accomplishments we believe will bring us happiness. The constant chase only keeps us distracted from what is truly fulfilling. But in the quiet moments of stillness, we find peace of mind. We no longer need to run, because we realize that everything we need is already here, in the present moment. The peace of mind that comes with stopping the chase is not fleeting. It is a lasting sense of calm and contentment that stays with us. When we stop chasing, we stop living in a state of constant anxiety. The pressure to always do more, to be more, and to achieve more fades away. We are no longer trying to prove our worth or live up to someone else's expectations. We stop comparing ourselves to others and measuring our success against external standards. Instead, we begin to define success on our own terms. We realize that peace doesn't come from reaching a specific goal or achieving a certain status. It comes from being at peace with who we are, right here, right now. The world tells us that we need to be constantly striving for something more, but stopping the chase reveals a different truth. True peace comes from within. It's not something that can be found outside of ourselves. When we stop running, we stop looking for happiness in the next achievement, the next promotion, or the next person. Instead, we look within and we find that peace is already there, waiting for us to recognize it. It's in the moments of silence, the moments of self-reflection, the moments when we are fully present in our own lives. When we stop chasing, we also let go of the fear that has been driving us. Fear is a powerful force that keeps us locked in the chase. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of missing out. These fears push us to keep moving, to keep striving, to keep achieving. But when we stop, we confront those fears. We realize that most of them are based on illusions. We realize that fear is often a product of our own minds, and that by simply letting go of the need to chase, we can release the grip that fear has on us. When we stop running from our fears, we find the courage to face them and the strength to move beyond them. The clarity and peace of mind that come with stopping the chase are not just fleeting experiences, they are transformative. When we stop, we begin to rebuild our lives on a foundation of self-awareness and inner peace. We no longer need to prove ourselves to others or chase after external markers of success. We begin to live authentically, guided by our own values and desires. We begin to make decisions based on what truly matters to us, not on what society expects or what others think. And in that space of stillness, we begin to rediscover ourselves. We realize that we are enough, just as we are. We don't need to chase anything to prove our worth. We are worthy simply because we exist. This realization is liberating. It frees us from the need to constantly prove ourselves, to constantly perform, to constantly hustle. It allows us to step off the treadmill and live life on our own terms, with peace of mind and clarity of purpose. The more we stop chasing, the more we learn to trust ourselves and trust the process of life. We realize that everything is unfolding as it should, and that we don't need to rush or force things to happen. We stop trying to control every outcome and learn to flow with life, trusting that the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances will come to us when the time is right. This trust brings us peace, because we no longer feel the need to control everything. We are able to surrender to the natural rhythms of life and allow things to unfold in their own time. And as we stop chasing, we also begin to let go of the past. The constant running and striving often keep us stuck in old patterns of behavior, in past hurts, and in outdated beliefs about ourselves. But when we stop, we allow ourselves the space to heal. We stop holding on to the past and open ourselves up to the possibilities of the present. We stop dragging around the weight of past mistakes, regrets, and failures. Instead, we learn to forgive ourselves, to let go, and to embrace the future with open arms. Ultimately, stopping the chase brings us home to ourselves. We realize that the peace we've been searching for was never found in external accomplishments or the approval of others. It was always within us. When we stop chasing, we stop running from who we are. We stop trying to be someone we're not and begin to embrace our true selves. This is where the real peace of mind comes from, not from achieving anything, but from accepting ourselves fully in all our imperfections. This peace is unshakable because it is rooted in who we are, not in what we do. It is the peace that comes from knowing that we are enough, just as we are, and that we don't need to chase anything to prove it. Living for yourself, not for others, is one of the most liberating and transformative decisions you can make in your life. It is a shift in mindset that allows you to break free from the constant pressure and expectations imposed on you by society, your family, your friends, and even strangers. So much of our lives are spent seeking approval, trying to live up to someone else's standards, and bending ourselves to fit into molds that we were never meant to fill. We find ourselves trying to meet other people's expectations, hoping that by doing so, we will be accepted, loved, or valued. But what happens when you stop seeking external validation? What happens when you stop living your life according to the scripts others have written for you and start writing your own? At first, it can feel unsettling, even uncomfortable. We're so conditioned to seek approval from others that the idea of living for ourselves can feel selfish or even irresponsible. Society tells us that we need to please others in order to be liked, to be successful, to be good people. The pressure to meet these external standards can be overwhelming. It's almost as though we are constantly measuring ourselves against an invisible yardstick, one that is never really ours to begin with. This pursuit of living up to someone else's ideals often leads to a sense of emptiness, frustration, and confusion. The harder we try to please others, the further we drift from our true selves. When you live for yourself, you free yourself from this exhausting cycle. You stop living for others and start living for the one person who truly matters you. It's not about selfishness or arrogance, it's about self-awareness and authenticity. It's about creating a life that is aligned with your true values, your deepest desires, and your unique purpose. And in doing so, you create a life that is not only more fulfilling for yourself, but also more genuine and enriching for the people around you. Living for yourself is not about abandoning your responsibilities or neglecting the people you care about. It's not about becoming disconnected or self-centered. It's about creating boundaries, understanding your own needs, and learning to say no when necessary. It's about respecting your own desires, emotions, and dreams rather than constantly sacrificing them for the sake of others. It's about taking ownership of your life instead of letting others dictate how you should live it. When you live for yourself, you start to prioritize your own well-being. This means taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health without feeling guilty or selfish. You recognize that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's, and that in order to show up fully for the people around you, you must first show up for yourself. This might mean taking time to rest when you need it, saying no to commitments that drain you, or pursuing passions that light you up. It might mean stepping away from toxic relationships or environments that hold you back. Whatever it is, you begin to make choices that nourish your soul and feed your inner peace. You no longer feel obligated to conform to someone else's vision of what your life should look like. Instead, you become the architect of your own happiness. The beauty of living for yourself is that you start to understand what truly makes you happy and fulfilled. For so long, we have been told that happiness comes from external sources: success, approval, material wealth, or the validation of others. But when you stop living for others, you realize that true happiness comes from within. It's not something you can find by chasing after other people's dreams or living up to their expectations. It's something you cultivate by tuning into your own heart, following your own path, and doing what feels right for you. Happiness becomes a natural byproduct of living authentically, of embracing who you truly are and living in alignment with your values. When you stop living for others, you also begin to let go of the need for constant validation. We live in a world where we are conditioned to seek approval from others. Whether it's through social media likes, praise from our bosses, or compliments from friends and family, we constantly look for external confirmation that we are worthy, that we are good enough. But this external validation is fleeting, it's unreliable, and it's based on what other people think of us at any given moment. Living for yourself means you no longer rely on the opinions of others to determine your worth. You recognize that your worth is inherent, not dependent on external factors. You become your own source of validation. You no longer need others to tell you that you're doing a good job, because you know deep down that you are. Living for yourself also means that you stop comparing yourself to others. We live in a culture that constantly pits us against each other. Whether it's in terms of career success, appearance, wealth, or social status, we are encouraged to measure ourselves against the achievements of others. But comparison is a trap. It steals our joy and our sense of self-worth. It distracts us from our own unique journey and keeps us focused on what others are doing rather than what we are doing. When you live for yourself, you stop looking at other people's lives as benchmarks for your own. You stop measuring your success against someone else's timeline or standards. You begin to honor your own path, understanding that everyone's journey is different, and that your worth is not determined by how you stack up to anyone else. As you begin to live for yourself, you also start to realize the importance of boundaries. For so long, we have been taught to put others first, to always say yes, to always be there for others, even at the expense of our own well-being. But living for yourself means learning to set healthy boundaries. It means understanding that it's okay to say no. It's okay to take a step back when you need it. It's okay to prioritize your own needs over the needs of others when it's necessary. Setting boundaries is not about being selfish, it's about being self-respecting. It's about understanding that in order to give your best to others, you must first take care of yourself. One of the most profound changes that comes from living for yourself is the sense of freedom it brings. When you stop living for others, you stop carrying the weight of their expectations, their judgments, and their opinions. You no longer feel the pressure to perform or to meet other people's standards. This freedom is incredibly liberating. You can now make decisions that align with your true desires without worrying about what anyone else thinks. You can pursue your passions, your career, your relationships, and your dreams without the fear of disappointing others or letting them down. You are free to live authentically, unapologetically, and with purpose. Living for yourself also opens the door to deeper self-discovery. As you stop living for others, you begin to reconnect with yourself in ways you may have forgotten. You start to listen to your intuition, your inner voice, and your heart's desires. You begin to rediscover what makes you truly happy, what excites you, and what brings you peace. You explore new possibilities, try new things, and embrace opportunities that align with your true self. This process of self-discovery is ongoing, and it helps you evolve into the best version of yourself. The more you live for yourself, the more you cultivate self-love and self-compassion. You learn to accept yourself fully, including your flaws and imperfections. You realize that you don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love and acceptance. You learn to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you extend to others. You forgive yourself when you make mistakes, and you celebrate your successes no matter how small they may seem. Living for yourself means embracing your own worth, regardless of external circumstances. It means understanding that you are enough, just as you are. As you continue to live for yourself, you will find that your relationships with others become more authentic and meaningful. When you stop trying to be someone you're not in order to please others, you attract people who accept you for who you truly are. You build deeper connections because you are no longer hiding behind a facade or trying to live up to a false image. The people who are meant to be in your life will gravitate toward the real you, not the version of yourself you've created to fit in or gain approval. These authentic relationships are the ones that bring true fulfillment and joy, because they are based on mutual respect, understanding, and honesty. Living for yourself also encourages you to embrace your uniqueness. We live in a world where there's often pressure to conform, to fit into a certain mold, to look a certain way, or to follow a certain path. But when you live for yourself, you realize that your uniqueness is something to be celebrated. You embrace the qualities, talents, and perspectives that make you different, and you recognize that your individuality is your greatest strength. You stop trying to be like everyone else and start embracing the person you were always meant to be. Ultimately, living for yourself is about creating a life that is aligned with your deepest desires and values. It's about living authentically, unapologetically, and with purpose. It's about embracing who you truly are and honoring your own needs, desires, and dreams. When you stop living for others, you create the space to be the best version of yourself and to live a life that is truly yours. When you stop chasing what's not meant for you, you create the space for what is meant for you to naturally come into your life. For so long, we've been conditioned to believe that we have to work tirelessly, chase, and struggle for everything we want. We are taught that nothing comes easy and that success, happiness, love, or fulfillment is something we have to fight for. But in reality, the more we chase after things that are not aligned with who we are or what we truly need, the further we move away from what is rightfully ours. The constant pursuit leaves us drained, disconnected, and often confused, not understanding. Why the things we desire seem just out of reach. The truth is, what's meant for you will never elude you. It will come to you when you stop forcing it, when you stop striving, and when you learn to trust that everything you truly need is already on its way. Attraction is a natural process, not a forced one. When you stop chasing, you begin to vibrate at a frequency that aligns with what is meant for you. The act of chasing, of striving with an energy of desperation, puts you at odds with the very thing you're trying to attract. You're not in harmony with the energy of abundance and opportunity. Instead, you're in a space of lack and need, constantly trying to fill a void, believing that your happiness or success lies outside of you. This energy repels the very things you seek. It's like planting a seed in soil that isn't fertile. No matter how much you water it, it won't grow because the environment isn't conducive to its growth. But when you stop chasing and begin living in alignment with your true self, everything shifts. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the real you, the authentic version of yourself. The universe or life itself has a way of bringing to you exactly what you need when you stop trying to force things. It's not about sitting back passively and waiting for things to fall into your lap, but rather it's about moving through life with a sense of trust, knowing that the right things will come at the right time. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, being open to the possibilities, and allowing life to unfold in a way that aligns with your purpose. When you stop chasing, you start cultivating an energy of patience. You stop rushing toward the next goal, the next milestone, or the next achievement. Instead, you learn to trust the process. You realize that everything happens in its own time, and that rushing only leads to frustration. Patience is not about passively waiting, it's about having faith that what is meant for you will come when the time is right. It's about allowing things to unfold naturally, knowing that you don't have to force the outcome. This patience allows you to focus your energy on things that truly matter to you. You begin to prioritize your passions, your growth, and your well-being. You stop wasting time and energy on things that drain you, and instead you put your efforts into what brings you joy, fulfillment, and meaning. When you focus on things that genuinely align with your purpose, you are naturally magnetizing what is meant for you. It's like a magnet pulling in the right opportunities, relationships, and experiences that will help you grow, evolve, and thrive. The more you align with your authentic self, the more you attract what is meant for you. One of the most powerful aspects of attraction is the ability to let go. When you're constantly chasing, you are holding on too tightly to the outcomes you want. You become so attached to a specific result that you fail to see the bigger picture. This attachment can create resistance in your life. It's like holding on to a balloon with all your strength that can never rise up freely if you're gripping it so tightly. But when you let go, when you release your attachment to the way things are supposed to unfold, you allow space for new opportunities to enter. You become open to unexpected blessings, to things that are even better than what you originally envisioned. When you let go, you create the room for what is meant for you to naturally manifest. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to fate. It means surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to, and that you are worthy of what is coming your way. It's about releasing the need to control everything and allowing life to surprise you with its beauty and its timing. By doing so, you create an energetic shift that aligns you with your desires rather than keeping you stuck in a cycle of pushing and striving. In our fast-paced, outcome-driven world, the concepts of freedom and presence are often overlooked or misunderstood. We live in a society that constantly pushes us to do more, be more, and achieve more. The relentless pursuit of success, material wealth, and social approval can leave us feeling exhausted, disconnected, and unfulfilled. Amidst all the noise and external pressures, we often forget what it means to simply be, to live authentically, and to experience life as it comes. The ability to be free and present is not something that requires external validation or achievement. It's a state of being that we can cultivate from within. Freedom and presence are intertwined, each enriching the other in profound ways, leading us to a life of greater meaning, joy, and fulfillment. Freedom, in its purest form, is the ability to live without the constraints of fear, expectation, or self-imposed limitations. It's not about the absence of responsibility or care, but about the absence of unnecessary burdens that weigh us down. True freedom is found when we stop chasing external validation and begin to honor our own values, desires, and needs. It's about having the courage to be ourselves without fear of judgment or rejection. In a world that often tells us who we should be, freedom comes when we stop trying to fit into predetermined molds and instead create our own path. This kind of freedom is deeply connected to self-awareness. When we truly know who we are, what we value, and what we desire, we free ourselves from the need to conform to others' expectations. We stop comparing ourselves to others and recognize that our worth is not determined by our achievements, appearances, or social status. Instead, our worth comes from within, from our inherent value as human beings. This internal freedom allows us to live authentically, making choices that reflect our true selves rather than conforming to societal pressures. We stop living for others and begin to live for ourselves, taking control of our own narrative and shaping our own destiny. However, freedom does not mean complete detachment from the world or the responsibilities that come with it. It is about being free to choose how we engage with the world. We become more mindful of where we direct our energy, time, and focus. The freedom to choose is what empowers us to create a life that aligns with our deepest desires and values. This freedom allows us to live intentionally, to choose how we respond to life's challenges, and to set boundaries that protect our well-being. When we stop chasing after things that drain us or don't align with our true purpose, we make room for what truly matters. Alongside freedom, presence is a powerful force that can transform our experience of life. To be present is to be fully engaged with the here and now, to experience each moment with complete awareness. It means letting go of distractions, worries, and mental clutter, and simply being with what is. The present moment is the only time that truly exists. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. But most of us spend much of our lives either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We replay old memories, reliving regrets and missed opportunities, or we project ourselves into a future that may or may not unfold as we imagine. In doing so, we miss the richness of the present moment, the beauty of the world around us, and the connection we can experience with ourselves and others. Presence is the antidote to stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. When we are present, we are not burdened by the weight of past mistakes or future uncertainties. We let go of the need to control everything and instead accept the unfolding of life as it is. Being present means fully engaging with our surroundings, paying attention to the sights, sounds, smells, and sensations that make up our experience. It means connecting with others on a deeper level, listening to them with our full attention, and being open to the emotions and experiences they are sharing. Presence allows us to experience life in its fullness without distractions or detachment. The key to cultivating both freedom and presence is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations in the present moment, without judgment. It is the act of observing our experiences as they arise, without getting lost in them or reacting impulsively. Mindfulness helps us break free from the automatic patterns of thinking and behavior that keep us stuck in the past or future. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of our inner dialogue, the stories we tell ourselves, and the beliefs that shape our perceptions of the world. This awareness allows us to challenge limiting beliefs, let go of past baggage, and embrace the present moment with open arms. In order to be truly present, we must also let go of attachment. Attachment to people, outcomes, possessions, and even our own identities can prevent us from living freely and being fully present. Attachment creates a sense of dependence, where we believe that our happiness and peace are contingent upon external circumstances. When we are attached to a specific outcome or way of being, we are unable to be open to whatever comes our way. We become rigid and resistant to change, clinging to what we think we need. But true freedom and presence come from releasing this attachment and allowing life to unfold without expectations or attachments. When we let go of attachment, we make space for new possibilities and experiences to enter our lives. One of the most powerful aspects of freedom and presence is the deep sense of peace and joy they bring. When we are free from the burdens of the past and the anxieties about the future, we experience a sense of inner calm and contentment. This peace comes from knowing that we are enough just as we are. We don't need to prove anything or chase anything to feel complete. We can simply be. Presence allows us to experience life in its purest form, without the filters of judgment or expectation. We experience the beauty of the world, the love of others, and the richness of life with a sense of awe and wonder. This joy is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a state of being that arises from within. In our relationships, freedom and presence allow us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we are free from the need to control others or to meet their expectations, we can show up fully as ourselves, without the fear of rejection or judgment. We are able to listen with empathy and engage with others without the distractions of our own insecurities or anxieties. Presence in relationships creates a space for deep connection and mutual understanding. It allows us to truly see the other person, to appreciate their unique perspective, and to be there for them in a way that is genuine and authentic. Freedom and presence also enable us to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. Life is unpredictable, and we cannot control the circumstances that arise. However, we can control how we respond. When we are free from the need to control every outcome or to avoid discomfort, we are better equipped to handle adversity. We can face difficult situations with a calm mind and an open heart, trusting that everything is happening for our growth and evolution. Presence allows us to stay grounded in the present moment, even in the midst of chaos or uncertainty. Instead of getting lost in our fears or anxieties, we can remain centered and focused on what is happening right now. One of the greatest gifts of freedom and presence is the ability to experience life in its fullness. When we are free from the constraints of the past and future, we are able to engage with life as it is. We can enjoy the simple pleasures like a warm cup of coffee, a beautiful sunset, or a heartfelt conversation. We can appreciate the beauty in the small moments without always striving for the next big thing. Presence allows us to see the richness and depth of life, and freedom allows us to live in a way that is authentic and true to our inner selves. It is important to recognize that freedom and presence are not static states, but dynamic practices that require ongoing effort and commitment. In a world that constantly pulls us in different directions, it can be easy to get caught up in the rush and lose sight of these values. However, by regularly practicing mindfulness, letting go of attachment, and living authentically, we can cultivate freedom and presence in our daily lives. The more we embody these qualities, the more natural and effortless they become. Eventually, freedom and presence become not just something we do, but something we are. In conclusion, freedom and presence are two of the most powerful and transformative qualities we can cultivate in our lives. They allow us to live authentically, to experience life in its fullness, and to connect deeply with ourselves and others. These qualities are not dependent on external circumstances or achievements. They arise from within when we let go of the need for control, judgment, and attachment. By embracing freedom and presence, we unlock our true potential and create a life that is rich with meaning, joy, and fulfillment.